Alrighty. We are live. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Taman, good to see you. KSHWF, I don't know how to pronounce that, but hello, first time chat, welcome. You are early, Taman. How are you doing tonight? Okay, so we are going to pick up where we left off in the last stream with our VFS slash asset packaging. So we got the asset packaging, I think, done in the last stream. And tonight we're going to just knock out the VFS, which is just a very thin virtual file system for right now. And we are essentially going to set up management of our packages and start converting our engine's code to look at the VFS to load assets as opposed to doing it from the file system. So with all that said, before we get started, I do want to take just a quick second and thank the supporters of the channel, starting with our partners who are the highest tier of subscription over on YouTube memberships and Patreon. They are Dustin Punt, Gabby Bashir, and Gerboles Inc. I'd also like to thank all the other supporters listed here. They are a combination of the other tiers of support over on Patreon, YouTube memberships, as well as Twitch subscriptions. So thank you all very much for your support. It helps cover costs of running the channel, including equipment costs, hosting costs, things like that. So it is very much appreciated. And I hope it goes without saying that I do appreciate each and every one of you guys, whether you are here on the Twitch side or whether you are here on the YouTube side. I've got them up on different monitors here. We simulcast to both. I do watch both chats. So feel free to jump in and chat. This is an interactive stream, so I will answer chats, questions, things like that to the best of my ability. Mean Mr. Mustard, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome. All right. You're doing good. I'm glad to hear that, Taman. Okay. Cool. All right. So tonight we're going to pick up kind of where we left off last night, which is in the virtual file system. So let's jump into that. We'll go to the C file. Let me just refresh my memory as to where we left off. We were processing the manifest. And I believe we actually got that code complete at least. So we have our package, our primary package created here rather. And then we go ahead and we process the manifest references. And I believe that actually stood up the other packages, if I remember correctly. Yes, it does. Okay. So that's good. We have that. So our packages should be loaded at this point. Let's see. I believe we need to, we need to fill out our asset request as well as our VFS shutdown. Let's knock out the shutdown really quickly because that is nice and simple. So we'll just do if state. And then we'll basically go through, and I guess we don't really have to do this, right? The OS will kind of clean this up for us, but we're going to be sticklers about it and do it anyway. So let's see. One thing that I don't remember though, I think, are we cleaning up the manifests? I don't think we are actually. We should be doing that always. Because once we've loaded the package, we don't need the manifest anymore. Okay, so let's do that. And then let's also go here. Because I'll bet we didn't do it in here either. Nope. Okay. So after we do this, let's see. If we don't process that correctly, then we break out after destruction. I guess technically speaking, we don't even need this. We can just actually say destroy it no matter what. Wait, no, we can't. That's got to come after that call. Yeah, so we do need an else block. Let's see what happened here. Else. All right, so we destroy that either way. Okay, that should be fine. So at least we're not leaking that memory. And then in terms of the actual packages itself, we should just be able to loop through that and destroy the packages. So we'll go if state packages, then we'll do u32 package counts equals darray length state packages for u32 I equals 0, I is less than package counts plus I, and then we'll do k package destroy, and we'll pass the address of state packages sub I. And then once we get down here, once we're done looping through that, we do darray destroy state packages, and we can also say state packages equals 0. Okay, so that will be the package cleanup, and then I think that's all that's in the state right now. Yep, it is. Okay, so that's actually all we have to do for right now. We're going to have to add some more stuff that we add to the VFS after that, but for right now, that's good enough. Okay, and now we just have to do the request asset, which if we think back to our discussion previously, our asset request is technically asynchronous, right? So most of that work is going to happen on a different thread, and that speeds things up because our asset loader itself might have different things that it needs to do. And so I think reading that file off of disk should probably happen on a different thread, right? We'll use our job system for that. And then once the job completes, we will make this callback, right? Is I think how we're going to handle that. Let me go ahead and catch up with chat just really quickly before we jump into that. Trash can with a 7-stream streak. Nice. Awesome. Good to see you. Flask, how's it going? Good to see you as well. Well, let's see. Your mind is working at 10%. Yeah, I understand that. I definitely have those days. All right. Assuming asset packaging is done with today. So the asset packaging, yes. The VFS, probably also yes. The conversion to use it within the engine, I don't know. We'll see. What is ZFS and what is Zed game? So that was... we kind of got off on a tangent. So what we were doing is we were actually starting to scaffold a game project, which is what these are. And then I went, wait a minute. We're not actually going to be able to do this because how are we going to manage assets? Because everything currently is stored in testbed assets, including engine core assets and things like that. So we actually have some assets that should be packaged along with the runtime and should be packaged along with the standard UI that we're using. And that's kind of what led to this whole thing happening. So we're setting things up to facilitate that. And then we'll go back to setting this up and seeing how far we get with it, right? I did mention that creating the first game project is likely going to involve us going back to the engine a lot as we sort of discover this stuff. Because testbed is just that. It's just a testbed. It's not an actual, it's not what an actual end game application is going to look like. So that's what those are. Okay. All right. So we are So to request an asset, the first thing that we need to do is, you know what, we need to get the state first, which I did say we don't want to have to pass that around from everywhere in the engine. So right now I'm basically just going to use the engine itself to get the state that we need. That being said, we do not actually have a VFS state in the engine yet, so we actually need to create that. And we need to put our hooks into the engine itself in order to actually, stand this whole system up, right? So we're going to say, we'll say VFS system state. That should be struct. Actually, you know what? We don't even need this. It's just that. The named version of it is going to be down here. So U64 VFS system memory requirements. We actually are going to need to change our initialize to follow this pattern as well. And then we're going to have struct VFS state. And that's going to be a pointer, and we're just going to call it VFS system state. All right. So now we have a way to at least obtain that from our global sort of engine call. Let's go to VFS H. And we need to actually modify this slightly. So we need to have a U64 pointer memory requirement, and then let's see, we have the out state there. So I guess let's follow our pattern that we've done elsewhere. Right, and I'm actually just going to grab the function signature. And we'll go to initialize. And we will overwrite that, right? And so just a couple things here. We will also need not memory requirements. So config out states and memory requirement. Okay, so in this case, we're going to do kind of the thing that we always do, the pattern that we've done for our other systems. Should I say VFS? No, I'm going to leave a VFS initialize. All right, so we're going to say memory requirement equals size of VFS state. And then if we don't have state, we're going to rename it to. Then we're going to return true, right? Because all we were doing in that case was grabbing memory. So here, we're going to rename this to just states. And so if we call this function, we're going to do the whole call the function twice thing. Once to figure out how much memory to allocate, once to actually, and then we'll allocate, and then once to actually stand the system up. So that's kind of our pattern with our other systems. We're just going to follow that here. So we'll go to engine. We might as well put the hooks in for this now so we don't have to do it later. And let's see, where do we want to put this? So we have platform initialization, that has to happen first. I would argue probably since the... Do we want to do the console system first? Yeah, I think we'll do the console system first, and then... No, we can't do the console system first, because we should probably also use the virtual file system for this logging, right? Which... I'm just thinking if we should do that or not. Or if it's okay in this case to just do it, because the log is kind of a special thing. It's something we generate every time we run the engine. Maybe I'll just leave that as it is. But if we do the virtual file system after that, then we get the benefit of having the log file. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do it after the version reporting. All right, virtual file system. Let's go ahead and scope this off. And let's see. We're also going to need to include what did I put that under? Platform VFS. All right, so VFS config. We'll do, I guess, VFS sysconfig. I don't know if we actually had anything in that right now to set. I don't think we do. Text user types. I'm not going to set that yet. That should be set from application config. So we'll do VFS sysconfig text user types equals 0. To do set from app config. And there'll be other things that go along with that as well. But for now, we don't need it to actually stand this up. Okay. Application config, system config, get. We don't have a way to actually parse the config for the system yet, do we? So we need to actually put this in here as a to-do. And then this stuff would technically come after. So I'm going to put a to-do here. And I'm going to disable this for now. Just so that at some point we come back to it. So deserialize config, all that. Okay, so this is the pattern that we're going to call, right? We have initialize, and then we have allocate for our actual state, and then we have initialize again. So we'll do VFS initialize. So this is going to be the address of systems VFS system state. Oops. VFS. What did I call that? Did I not put that in there? I thought I did. VFS system memory requirement. Yeah, there it is right there. telesense just sometimes just doesn't want to do its job. All right, so this time we're going to pass 0 for the state because we're just getting the memory that we need to allocate this. And then for config, we'll go ahead and type in, or pass in rather, VFS sysconfig, or the address of that, right? So here we're just getting the memory that we need. Then we want to do systems VFS system state equals kallocate. Size of, or actually we don't even need size of, it's systems VFS system memory requirement, there it is. And then the memory tag is engine for this. And then we call this guy again, except this time we actually check the result, right? And if that fails, failed to initialize VFS, see logs for details, and return false. All right, and I think that's actually all we need in terms of initializing the VFS. We don't have any sort of updates or anything like that, so we don't have to register any sort of update loop. The only other thing we'll need to do is handle shutdown, which will happen here. So all systems, so we're probably going to do this towards the end, right before console. We'll do VFS shutdown, systems VFS system state. All right, so we get that in there as well. Okay, so our hooks are into the engine. That should take care of us being able to load up the packages that we need from configuration and all that stuff. If you don't have state, you'll always fail on the first check. It shouldn't. Oh. Wait a minute. I think I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean. I forgot to put it in here. Systems state. I don't need the address of that. Thank you for calling that out. That would have been confusing. Okay. Yeah, that looks right now. Okay. Shouldn't copy pasta. I should get out of that habit, really. Just type the thing. All right. So that's, let's go back to VFS. All of that was to be able to get, request our asset, right? Which we need first to get the state. So now we're going to say VFS states, state, equals engine systems get. Actually, it wasn't systems get, was it? Was it? Yeah, I think it was actually. VFS system state. Oh, we don't have engine included. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't think this through. We do not have, and the reason that didn't automatically pick it up, we do not have the engine at this level. Poop. Okay, so we are going to have to pass the state. Not the end of the world, just slightly disappointing, but it is what it is. We can't do this. We have to do VFS state, which means here we also need VFS state. Okay, so the reason we have to do that is because we don't have a way to actually access the engine from here, nor should we, because the engine is in runtime. Under core, right? There it is right there. So the runtime references core, but the core does not reference runtime. But we want to keep platform stuff here, and this is platform stuff. It's like the definition of platform stuff. So that's that. I guess we could make some sort of shortcut within the engine itself for that. Maybe a macro or something, just to kind of get around that. Having to do that everywhere, but we'll see. I'm not going to worry about it for right now. We have to import a lot of that stuff for the file system anyway. Kind of the same thing, so I'm not really all that worried about it. You meant inside the initialize function, the first check returns false if state is null. Oh, did I do that? Let's see. What a dingus. You're right. You know what? Technically, I shouldn't require config at this point either. Really, all we need to do is get the memory requirement at this point. So like what we should be doing really is just requires a valid pointer to memory requirement. And that's the only thing that we should check. When we come down here, we'll say else if not config. VFS initialize requires a valid pointer to config. And that should actually fail. So we only check that if we have state. Not passing memory requirements always going to fail. That's fine. So I guess we can go to engine and just swap this up a little bit. So we'll just do that, because we don't have to pass that there. Okay. Instead of set from app config, we're going to do deserialize from app config. Okay. Let's see. Will you be streaming longer tomorrow? It's a Friday. I don't stream on Fridays, unfortunately. I can only stream right now. I can only stream on Wednesdays and Thursdays, just because of outside commitments. So yeah, that's my streaming schedule for now. I'd love to be able to stream more, but you know, I have responsibilities and things to take care of outside of this. So maybe one of these days, but you know, having a full-time job also kind of takes a lot of that time away as well. We are still doing the well, we've kind of moved on from the asset packaging, more so to the virtual file system now. That sits on top of that. So dingus, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this was definitely a dingus moment. You know, I actually have a button for that now. Whenever I have a dingus oriented programming moment on stream and I screw something up, it's this. So yeah, appropriate, I think. Ever thought of porting the engine to WebGL or WebGPU? Not offhand, no. Mainly because, well, I wouldn't port it to WebGL. I would use WebGPU if anything. But I've already kind of done like a basic engine tutorial on that on the channel, so I don't think so. If I were to use those technology stacks, I'd probably use web technology to do it instead of C. Can you fold regions and scopes in your Vim setup? Yes, but I always forget how because I never do it. There is a key for it. It involves the Z key, but I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head. I did answer you yesterday about Rust. Yeah, so I've not used it enough to have a valid opinion on it or a qualified opinion, basically. It's not really something I'm interested in using it. I used it enough to know that I personally don't like it. But I can't speak for the strengths and weaknesses of it because I didn't use it long enough. Yeah, so. Noise, haha, yeah. I like that button. I might use it. Not too often, but every once in a while. I was official. Good to see you. All right, so that's the hook to our virtual file system. Let's get back to that. Did I miss an ad break, by the way? I think I did. I think I got distracted reading chat and missed an ad break. That's fine. All right. You seem like a Zig type of guy. I mean, Spiro would definitely... Spiro's been trying to get me on the Zig train. I don't know. I've heard Zig has a pretty decent C compiler, but I'm trying to go for no dependencies as much as possible. And it's like, Zig is also a fairly new language, so it's not something that I would necessarily want to write an engine in because I have heard that there are still bugs in it. And I would hate to get caught by, and have to stop development because of a language bug. That would kind of suck. I'm open to trying it at some point for like tool sets or something like that. Or maybe even writing a game against this library in it. Put the game code in that, but not the engine itself. Okay, so request asset. So obviously we can only do this if we have state. We can only do this if we have a name. And we can only do this if we have a callback. So we're going to do that, and then let's see what I want to do. I guess I'll do an else here. And we'll do a K error. VFS request asset requires state, name, and callback to be provided. Okay, so what we need to do here is examine the name, because the name is basically going to be passed in something that's going to look like, let me do this actually outside of a comment. So it's going to look something like runtime, ruin time, that's fine too. So runtime, so that'll be like package name dot texture, which is type of asset, and then like rock01 or something like that, which is the name of the asset, right? And so what we need to basically do is we need to split the string by the dot, and then we are going to examine it from there. So the first split of that string will be the package name. The second split will be the asset type. And then everything from that point forward will actually be the asset name, which technically you could do that, right? And then rock.01 would also be the asset name. So we need to properly handle that too. So what I am thinking is instead of using like we do have like a string split function. which would be really convenient for this. But the problem is it's going to give us too many parts and split things that we don't want split if they provide a dot here, right? So I think we're just going to process it manually here. And I guess, let's see, how should we... I guess we'll do... package name, right? And we'll have a max of like 128 for that. And then we'll do asset type. And for that, I mean, I can't ever even picture it being 64. But what the heck, we'll do that. And then the actual asset name, we're going to impose a limit of 256. And actually, what we're going to do, whoops, put an equals there. What we're going to do is actually go to VFS H, and we're going to define that constant. So I guess we'll do, let's do it here. So we'll do define VFS asset name max length 256, right? VFS asset name max length, we'll do that. These others, I suppose we should probably also do that. Right, let's not use magic numbers here. Let's make the requirements well known. So VFS asset type max length, and that's going to be 64. And then we have VFS package name max length. And that's going to be 128. Right, so VFS package name max length and VFS asset type max length. All right, so we'll do that. And I guess there's another thing that I'm considering, which is this is not necessarily the length of a string if we use UTF-8 characters, right? So if we use Japanese characters, right, most of those are 2 bytes per character instead of 1. And we'll actually have to detect that. And we'll probably want to process the name as an actual UTF-8 string. We could just disallow it, but I feel like that's kind of dumb, right? Why not just allow it to be in any character, right? String token, the problem is, I mean, I might do that. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any drawback to doing that. I don't think so. Because I think... Oh, I don't think this is actually thread safe, though. I think that's why I didn't want to use that. Yeah, I don't think that's thread safe. I think internally that uses a static state, if I remember correctly. Yeah, all right. So I'm just going to do it the hard way. So what we can do is we actually have string UTF-8 length, right? And so what we can actually do is we can actually steal our loop, our processing loop from here. Because this is how we process UTF-8 strings, right? So let's actually, I probably ought to write like a version of string toke that does what we need. But I'm basically going to kind of just do it this way. Just an old-fashioned loop, right? So in this case, it's going to be name. And we're also going to get the character length because we need both sets of information. We don't have... I guess this is, instead of quad count, this is really just character count. Let's get rid of this. We'll add stuff back as we need it. If text is empty, we should probably handle that as well, for sure. If text is empty, we're going to boot out early, but we're going to say k-error. VFS request asset was passed an empty string for name. Nothing to be done. And technically speaking, no, that should be fine. All right. Okay, so allocate. Do we really not have memory? I guess we didn't. Okay. All right. So we set up a code points array. We loop through these. We are going to loop through here. Bytes to code points. So this needs to also be name. We don't care about... Do we care about white space? I don't think I'm going to bother with like trimming and stuff. What we really should do is replace this with a code point equals dot, right? So if we have this, then we should move on to the next thing. We're going to need a U8 part index is what we'll call it, I guess. That's the parts of the string, right? So if the code point is equal to dot, actually we can simplify this. We'll say if the part index is less than 2. That'll save us a lot of comparisons, right? So we start at 0, and then we have 1, and then 2. We don't care about this requirement anymore, right? So this is going to cause a part index plus plus, and then to do move on to the next part. Okay, and then C plus equals advance. Advance is how many bytes we need to move forward. And then we have, we don't need a code points array. Actually, we don't need this at all. Code point index. Do we need code point index? I don't think we do. No, it's not used anywhere. Okay, so we can get rid of that. Okay. So what we will do is let's do part index, and then we'll also do part location. Let's just call it, whoops. Let's just call it part loc. We'll set that to 0. We're going to reset that here too. Right, that's going to be our position within the current part that we're in. I guess we could do also parts. I guess we could actually just do this. 3 equals, right? And then we have package name, asset type, and name. That way we can just access them super easily, right? Okay. So the next thing that we'll do is we will, if we pass this check, then we need to move it or add the advanced number of bytes to the current array, right? So we'll do for U32, let's see, we can use I. I is less than advance plus I. And then what we'll do is we will say part index, and then we'll also do part location equals, let's see, we don't want the whole code point though, do we? We want C. Yeah, so it should be C plus I. Because C is our index into the regular character array. That makes sense. Okay. And then I guess we also have to do part location. We have to increment that guy as well. Okay, so we add to the current part string, right? And then we move C by advance. So we don't modify it here, we modify it here. And then when we move on to the next part, I think this is actually all we need to do. I guess before we do that, we'll do part index, part location equals 0, right? So we'll null terminate and move on. And then all the way at the end, we'll actually need to do that one more time to terminate the final string. Okay, so at that point, we should have these 3 things that we need for debugging purposes. We'll just say loading assets, and we're going to say the name of type. We'll say the type from package, and we'll say the package. So it'll be name, whoops, package name, or wait, yeah, name, asset type, and then package name. Aren't we already using name though? We need to make this asset name. Same down here. Okay. So once we have that, then we should be able to actually do the lookup into our packages. Why not just support full UTF-8? I mean, I do through this, right? It just allows me, I'm using UTF-8 via multi-byte characters, right? Instead of requiring wide character use, which is what Windows does, which is dumb and a waste of memory. This actually allows me to use just a standard C string, and I could just parse it this way, and still get and still only use the actual memory that I need. And whenever we have a multi-byte character sequence, which is determined by this, right? So we can actually figure out how many bytes we're working with. Now, I only support up to 4-byte characters. So if we have 5 or 6 byte characters, I don't support that. But I don't know how many of those there actually are that we need to know or care about anyway. So, but yeah, this is basically, we added this a long time ago. It works really well. Okay. So, what's the difference between ++i and i++? So one of them increments the value before you actually use it, and one of them increments after. In terms of a for loop, it doesn't actually make a difference. It's an old school requirement, not requirement, it's an old school optimization, because old compilers used to actually do the ++ as it was 2 instructions. So you would have the access, and then you would actually have the increment. Whereas if you do the pre-increment, I think it was like 1 instruction or something like that. I forget exactly what it was, but it was less instructions to do the ++i versus i++. I don't think it's that way anymore. I think modern compilers all pretty much optimize that, but it's like old habits die hard. I hate UTF-8. Yeah, UTF-8. I mean, it's good and bad, right? We have support for it, so like once we wrote the support for it, we don't really have to think about it anymore, other than sometimes doing weird processing stuff like this. But it's not really that big of a deal. It is useful, but yeah, it's actually exceedingly clever, because it only uses extra bytes where it needs the extra bytes. Versus, UTF-16 or UTF-32, which uses that number of bits for every single character, which is super wasteful. What was the deal with the balloons? Balloons? What do you mean? Recently passed a compiler systems course at uni. It was a nightmare. Jeez. Yeah, it sounds like it. What type of math do you think is most important for 3D game dev? Is it linear algebra or something else? Linear algebra. Yep. 100%. There's other types you could go into, but that one is going to give you the most mileage, for sure. You need to know that stuff. At least conceptually. Like, maybe not, memorize all the formulas and stuff, but understand how they work. Know what a dot product does, know what a cross product does, things like that. Some birthday balloons popped up on the face cam. Really? Is that like a weird... I have no idea. Maybe it's the Mac like doing something. Because my streaming machine is running on the Mac. So maybe it was like when I threw my hands up or something like that, it did it. I think it also does it for like a heart or something like that, or I forget. Maybe it's something in there. That's weird. I'll have to go back through the VOD and see that. What was the question regarding linear algebra? I didn't hear. Somebody was asking what kind of math you need to know for 3D game development, and that was the number one answer. Linear algebra. That's all it was. Yeah, no problem. Let's see. Seemed like FaceTime gestures. It could be. I don't know what those are off the top of my head, so I wouldn't know how to trigger it. If you do a thumbs up, it does it as well. If I do a thumbs up. I don't know. Like, maybe I have to do it to the Mac camera? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's not doing it now. Also happens on WhatsApp video calls. Weird. Yeah, I'm just using like a standard web camera up here, so I'm not sure what it thought it saw. Interesting. Okay. I didn't even see that happen because it's like the camera's over there, so. Okay. You know what? I'm actually gonna, I think I have something in here that creates like a marker. So I'm gonna see if that actually works or does anything. We'll see. All right, where was I? Okay, so we've processed the parts. We output the string here as to what we're requesting. The next thing we need to do is actually loop through our packages and see if we find one by that name. And I'm just going to brute force this for now. We'll add a hash map if we need it. I don't think we're going to, because I don't think we're going to wind up with that many packages, right? I don't think a hash map's going to be worth it for like 2 or 3 items, right? I think this will probably be fast enough. So what we'll do here is U32 I equals 0. I is less than. You know, I didn't get package count. Equals states packages, and then we need darray length. And then package count, and then plus I. And then we're going to do a case insensitive compare here. So string equal I. And we're going to say, you know what, let me actually take a convenience pointer here. So k package package equals address of states packages sub I. And I can do package name and compare that to package name. Right, so if we have a match here, first thing we're going to do is break because we don't need to iterate any further. We found the package. Now what we will do is we'll say k package. We don't have our types yet. So we have our text get and our bytes get. But we don't know at this point if it is a binary asset or not. So that was, we said we were going to leave that up to the VFS, and we commented out our code and the k package. What did I break here? Manifest. Oh. Right. Okay. Manifest. Yeah, all right, let's do manifest dot, and we'll replace that with out manifest adds. There we go. Okay. So for those of you who are new, we do pause during ad breaks just so that you guys don't miss anything. I was writing a couple of things here, but we'll review that when ads come back, or when we come back from ads, rather. So we've got about 45 seconds. I also like to put a timer up on the screen so that you guys know how long it's going to be before we come back. I do see the YouTube questions, so I'll answer that just in just a minute. All right, we're done. Let's see. Sorry if I talked about it already. Could you briefly explain why you need a VFS? Does it have to do with loading files after the game is shipped, or is it an optimization thing? It has purely to do with abstracting whether we're loading files from a binary blob, which we're going to support for release versions of the game. So we're going to basically package our assets into a binary blob. But then it also allows us in debug builds to point directly to files on disk so that we can have hot reloading and things like that. And so our packages will do that. And then our VFS manages our packages. And that way, anywhere in the game system, we don't have to be concerned about where assets are coming from. All we have to do is the package name, the asset type, and the name of the asset. And then the VFS handles the rest. So that's basically why. Okay. For some reason, every time I see Flask, I remember that his Twitch account is super old, like one of the oldest I've ever seen. 2007 is great. Holy crap, really? Yeah, you were here when it was Justin TV. Jeez. That is a long time ago. You did create an account back then as well? I don't think I did, but I kind of wish I had, because it'd be cool to have that account. You had like 20 accounts because it was so easy to create them. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Probably older than some guys here. Yeah, probably. Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. All right, so we just had a minor issue here. I did just a quick refactor to point this to out manifest references, because last night I guess we didn't get them all, so I got them all. Okay, so what we really wanted to pluck out of here was these text asset types, and we had a function in here as well. So I'm going to take this first, and I'll just plop it right here. Right, and so these are sort of our default, well-known, well-defined engine asset types. And what these are is these are the asset types that are of text type, right? So they're human-readable text. And so they need to be opened differently than binary files. And then we also had, here it is, treat as what is it? Treat as text? Treat type as text, yeah. So we'll do that as well. We'll do VFS. Let's see. We'll also stick this towards the top. I may forward declare this and move it to the bottom, actually. In fact, I'm probably going to do that with both of these. So let's actually do this. Right, we don't need our static functions at the top. That's just kind of not needed. So right, so we can do that, and then have this at the bottom. Okay. So that is the next thing that we actually need to figure out. So I guess we only need to do this check if we actually find a package, right? If we don't find a package, there's no reason to run this check because we can error out at that point. So speaking of which, if we get down here, let's do a k-error. No package named that exists. Nothing was done. And we'll do package name, right? And that is going to be it for that one. This will probably wind up being return instead. Okay, so we want to determine if the asset type is text. So what we can do is, what was the name of that again? Treat type as text. Okay. So we'll do if treat type as text, and then we'll do asset type. Then we will use the k package asset text get, right? So we'll pass the package, the asset type, the asset name, and the size. So we'll just do a U64 size here. I guess we'll initialize that to 0. Take the address of size. This does return a Boolean, so we'll check that as well to make sure that it actually found the thing. And failed to load asset. See logs for details. Right, and the package will actually give us more information about that. So return. Okay, so that is the get as text. Returns a character array, not Boolean. That's right. Let's do I think it was a constant character array. Text equals that. All right, it was constant. Yes. Okay. So now we can do if text, or if not text, rather. Okay. So we have that. We can basically copy this for binary. So we'll do a void pointer here. We're just going to have a big old block of memory. And this is going to be asset bytes get. And then if not block, then failed to load asset. Let's do failed to load text asset and failed to load binary asset. Whoops, binary, I got that backwards. Okay, so we have that. Now we need to call the callback, right? And I realize we haven't sent this to the job system or any of that stuff yet. We want to make sure this works, and then we'll jobify it. So basically, we're just going to do this inline right now, which is going to slow down our load until we actually jobify that, but that's okay. So I think the only thing we need to do here, if we haven't booted out of either one of these, that means we are successful. So at this point, we can make the callback. I thought that's what I called it, isn't it? The name and the asset data. The asset data, right, I've got to fill out an asset data structure. Okay. So before we make the callback, we need VFS asset data. We'll start by zeroing that out. And in fact, we can actually we should probably put that up here as well. Because now we can actually say data.text in that case. And in this case, data.bytes. Okay, so we have that sorted. Actually, this should be data size. This can go away. And then, in this case, we want to do data.success equals false. In both of these cases. And then down here, we want that set to true. And I think that's all we need to fill out. Asset flags, right. Forgot about that. So when we are loading a binary asset, there is one more thing we need to do. We need to say asset or data flags or equals asset flag binary data. We need to set that flag. And that's the only flag we have at the moment. Okay, so we have the data. Did I include the name in that? I forget. Size, text or bytes, flags, success. Okay, so now all we got to do is make the callback, which takes name and then the asset data. So we'll do callback. And then we'll do asset name and data. And we are explicitly passing a copy of that data, right? Because we don't want to have to worry about the life cycle of that. Let me think about it. Do we have any strings that we have to worry about? I don't think we do. So this is a dynamic allocation. This is a dynamic allocation. The only thing that isn't is the asset name. But since we are making the callback within that scope, we should be good because that's going to be part of this thread always. So I don't think we have a race condition to worry about there. If we do, we can always string duplicate and then free it later, I suppose. I don't think we need to do that for now. Okay, so that should hook us up to the package and asset that we need by type. That returns. And if we get down here, we have an error. Okay, so I think we are good in terms of requesting assets. I think that's everything, assuming I wrote it correctly, which I probably didn't. Let me take a look at comments here. Are you calling Flask old? I mean, I don't know. Flask is probably like my age, I would guess, if he's got an account from 2007. I don't call myself old yet. I'm not 40 yet. I'm not old yet. Is it that same Vulkan engine that was used for CSGO or something like that? What, you mean this Vulkan engine? No. He's probably right. Okay. Looks like we have a spam comment there. I'm just gonna... You know what? Let's actually... That's a ban. Okay. Yeah, bot. Yep, I got it. Okay. In before Flask is 40. That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, I don't know what Flask's age is, but I know I'm not 40 yet, so. The grays are in full force. I'm starting to get some down here. Okay. So wait. What? Zaki, what am I doing? So we are writing a virtual file system at the moment. Why are you retracting all your messages? I'm not sure what's going on over there. Okay. Okay. Let me think what else we needed to actually do. I guess let's look at our to-do list, right? Because we had everything kind of specced out there. So asset packaging. We have the interface. We are pointing kpackage to files on disk for debug builds. I mean, it's not technically tied to a debug build yet, but I'm willing to say that's done. Hot reloading is something we'll worry about afterwards. Manifest file generator, I'm not worried about that now. Binary blob format, that's a feature as well. Release builds. Okay. Virtual file system sits on top of this. Okay, so this is actually done. Whoops. This is actually done. And that's done. Or what I'm calling done, at least for now. So I guess the next thing that we have to do is we'll have to go through and start actually pointing the engine to start loading resources this way. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Appreciate that. Okay, I suppose before we do any of that, we should probably make sure it builds. Which it doesn't. Sweet. No member named asset count instruct. Okay, so kpackage has... Right, because that was... I changed that to use a D array. So this is actually going to be... This needs to be D array length to get the asset count. Kpackage 271. What is this bleating about? File content is used uninitialized. Oh. It's talking about this. Whenever if condition is true. Wait, what? Whenever, oh, so if this is true, this is uninitialized. Okay. The compiler is not smart enough to see that if we are doing this, that we've got to go to. And it doesn't matter that this is initialized because we won't hit this. That's actually kind of funny. Okay. So I guess we'll just do equals 0. Oh, it's still complaining about that, really? What did I miss? I did save that, right? Sometimes uninitialized. File content. Oh, is it complaining about... Which one is it complaining about? File system size. If that's true, it's talking about all the way... What line is this? All the way on line 385. What? Oh, I see what's happening. Because we go to here, this is never actually set up. That's what it's complaining about. Okay. Fair enough. So let's just do this. Oops. We'll say equals 0 here. And we'll just set it there. Linker failed. Undefined reference to kpackage manifest destroy. That's right, we did not define that. Okay. I forgot about that. So, let's see. Kpackage H, this guy here. We set it up, or we sort of declared it, but we never actually handled it. So let's get rid of the export symbol. Okay, so the manifest destruction shouldn't be too crazy. So if manifest, let's do the name first. So if we have a name, we'll do string free manifest name. Then we'll do if manifest, let's do references because that's what appears next. Path. I guess let's do path next. String free manifest path. If manifest references. In this case, we need to actually loop through it, so we'll do U32. Let's just do ref count equals the array length manifest references. U32 I equals 0, I is less than ref count plus I. Manifest asset manifest reference ref equals address of manifest references sub I. If ref name string free ref name, if ref path string free ref path. Okay, so we go through those, then we do, at the end, we do a darray destroy manifest references, right? So that's references, and then we basically have almost the same thing for assets. So we'll just do that, and then this is going to be asset manifest asset, and we'll do name path, and then assets have one more Oops. Which is type. Okay, then we de-array destroy that. And the reason I'm not setting any of this stuff to 0 is because when we are all said and done, we are just going to do a K0 memory on manifest. And it's going to be the size of asset manifest. We'll just 0 the whole thing. Okay. So that's that. Okay, built successfully. Now, I highly doubt that this is going to run or do the thing correctly, but I guess we should probably, before we actually start making things dependent on this, we should probably make sure that the asset manifests themselves load correctly. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll pull up the debugger here. Error opening file asset manifests. Okay. So that is probably because we are running from the bin folder, which does not have that here. So this path is actually wrong. We need to go up a directory and then into the game folder, which in this case is testbed.kapp. Okay, so we need to think about how do we want to introduce that pathing. Because it's actually going to work two different ways. The way I'm thinking about this is when we are loading from disk, right? So we're in a debug build, we're loading from disk. We're using file pointers on disk. We have, let's see here. Let me minimize some of this stuff. We have our application here, which has our assets in it and which also has our asset manifest. So that is within the kapp folder, which I think is fine. I don't want to move that. I don't want to copy it or anything. But I think when we construct our binary, and we actually have our binary asset package, our kpackage file, I think that we're actually going to place into bin, right along with the executable. And then it will be right next to it. That makes the most sense to me. So let's see, where was that? I don't think that was in here. That would be in the VFS, actually. And initialize. Okay, so I'm going to hard code this for now. Hard coded rubbish. We're going to do up a directory. Then we're going to do testbed dot kapp and then asset manifest. And let's see, is this going to be, oh, we have ads. The infamous go to hell? Yeah. Just didn't think it through because it's a direct jump in code, you know. Because you turned the array dynamic. Yep, I know what you're talking about. Yep, okay. Compiler is actually useful for once. Yeah, right. Totally. That was an example of dingus-oriented programming there, by the way. All right. Hydrate for a second here. Compilers are actually so good nowadays. Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, not all compilers are created equal, though. I wouldn't say MSVC is a good compiler. It's better than it used to be, but it's not on the top for me. "15 seconds left on ads." This will also let me see if I fat-fingered the asset manifest once we actually load these things. All right, ads are dead. I think I need the fully qualified name here. Yeah, that does a file system open. Okay, so I need the actual full path. Clear highlights. Let's build again. And let's try this again. Okay. What? Okay, so I'm guessing here we probably just passed in something null to one of the parameters of this guy. Let's see. Unexpected character S at position U. Code point is that. C plus advance. So that's the position. Which one is it bleating about? Why has that failed? Tokenize. Why is our tokenization failing all of a sudden? Did I do something stupid in here? Well, first of all, I guess unexpected character at position. 21148. Is that even valid, actually? So this is going to be... What are we actually trying to... This is the manifest. Format. Okay, that seems to be there. I remember we briefly messed with this on another platform to get it to work on Apple. But on Linux, it required this VA copy thing, which VS Code is bleating about. Oops, I accidentally said it and I didn't bleep it. Dang it. Okay, so this should tell us what length we need to allocate, but for some reason that's failing. And I'm not 100% sure why. It's segfaulting in the actual C library itself. This is why I hate using the C library, because it's like completely not helpful in terms of when it gets something it doesn't expect. So I wonder if I'm going to get demonetized. Yeah, because I said VS without bleeping it. Yeah. All right. It's too late. Yeah. It's too late. Maybe Valgrind will help. Yeah, maybe. I am wondering, though, like, I don't even think the file that it's trying to read is that long. 21148, like, I don't think it's... That's going to be... we want this one. Does this give me a selection rate? Oh, yeah, 21148. Okay. It's exactly that long, apparently. So maybe it just doesn't like the... Is it not null terminated or something? It doesn't like something all the way at the end of the string, which is... Did I not close this off correctly or something? Thank you for the follow, by the way. Like, I don't see any obvious mistakes. I wonder if JSON highlighting will actually work for this. Or if it'll complain. It kind of works, actually. Just need to see if we have any unterminated strings or something stupid. Because I did generate this by hand. So that is entirely possible. I'm more so looking at the syntax highlighting than the actual text itself. This is complaining that it found something all the way at the end it didn't like, though. I don't see anything that looks off. Like, even if I go through here and code fold it. It all looks fine to me. Maybe it's because I'm treating this code point as a string. Like, maybe if I just change it to that. I don't think that's going to work, though. Because I don't know if that'll take UTF-8 characters or not. Oh, it did actually. Interesting. 21150. That's longer than the actual file, I think. 21148. Selected, which would mean it's 21149 long, including the null terminator. So why are we at like, we ought to have a null terminator in here somewhere. Unless it's for some reason reading the yeah, right here is where it should be. Let's see if that actually gets hit. It does not. Huh? read all text out size is 21148. That's correct. It does have some weird character all the way at the end. So technically this should be the end of the file, right? We have a new line there. What's before that? Interesting. How did that happen? So we have a new line, which is truly there. And then at the end, we've got whatever that is. Possibly an unprintable character. That's maybe. We try getting rid of that, I suppose. $21149. Do I still have my breakpoints? Yeah, see, for some reason we're not even hitting this case. So we go here. $21149 is the space. Why am I getting such a strange character as like the last? It should be, whoops, 4.6. It should be this, and then it should be an end of file, which should be a null terminator. That character is wrong for some reason. Okay. So let me think about this for a second. What could be... So we have this read all text. Maybe this is going wrong somewhere. So file system size is 21147. So our out text we read the whole thing at once, that whole size. Should it be size -1? And then we have to manually null terminate. Why hasn't this been an issue before? Let me restart this again. So we seek to the beginning, right? We do an ftell, which is what gives us the out size. Then we go back to the beginning, then we return true. Like there's nothing, I haven't changed that code in like forever. I suppose we could try size -1. And then just do, out text size equals 0. That seems kind of asinine to have to do that. I'm not understanding why it hasn't been an issue up till now. That seems to have fixed it, though. Okay. Yeah, so we do have... okay, so now we are actually getting a valid error. That's baffling to me how that hasn't been an issue up until now, though. I would have think if that was going to fail, it would have failed months ago. Okay, so 10501. Let's see. How do I even go to... Is there a way to go to position? There's like line column. Line column. Type of line number. Yeah. VS Code really doesn't have a way to do that. That's kind of poopy. All right, well, it gave us this. So let's do a search for that. So there's some token in here. Aha. I didn't spot that earlier. Unterminated string. Okay. Oh, it's terminated back here for some reason. Okay. Let's just make sure that these other ones are correct. I guess I put the quote in the wrong spot. I did say that I hand-built this file, so that's not terribly surprising. Okay, so let's... Okay, there we go. So we've got properties, package name. Okay, I think we're going to be good because that parsed. So our references, reference array count, there are 2 of them. That makes sense. So I think our references are going to be good. And then our assets. We have 168 of them. That sounds correct as well. So I'm just going to kind of step through the first one here and then blast the way through the rest. And we'll go here, continue. Okay, so path, I don't know what that is. That's not right. I don't know if maybe we're not setting it though. Okay, so I guess we can do, let's just spot check a few of these. So we'll say out manifest assets, and we'll say, I guess we'll look at 20 of them. I'm just going to spot check a few. So 16 default material, and then we have that material. Okay, so yep, that looks correct. All right, I'm gonna just kind of skip down here a little bit. Crusted snow material. Yeah, I think we're gonna be good. Looks like it loaded the whole thing correctly. Let me just check the references really quickly. That's only 2. There we go. We got our references. Okay, so this package loaded correctly. Or at least the, I shouldn't say the package, I should say the asset manifest loaded correctly. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do some cleanup. and then we'll return success. Okay, and then we'll create the package from the manifest. This should be just straight up copies. I'm not too worried about this. Asset counts. Again, I'll step through the first one. New entry. Name and path. Okay. And then we search for a type. Obviously, we don't have any types, so we create a new type. So we have a new lookup type, material, and then we push into the entries and push the new lookup. And then the next one should also be, that's a material. So now we should find that, and we should just add it to its entries. Perfect. Okay, so I'm pretty convinced that that's going to work. So let's actually just continue. And let's have a look at out package internal data. Actually, we'll just look up in these types. So let's just verify our data here. I'm pretty sure we're going to be good. So this one has materials, static meshes, and music. Didn't I have textures in there too? Why didn't it load the textures? Oh, because I only did 3. Let's do like 6. Yeah, scene, sound, terrain. I need more than that even. I don't know how many asset types I actually have. So let's go 10. Sound, terrain, texture. There we go. And then everything else after that's empty. Okay, so I guess let's look at textures, right? So we'll do index 6. And we want entries. Entries. And I guess we'll do 20 of these as well. So there we go. We don't have an offset or a size, which makes sense because these would only be used in binary lookups. We don't need those otherwise because we're loading this from disk. I suppose we could cache that somehow, right, when we actually verify the path, but okay, so that one looks good. Background combined. Spot check a few of these. I think we're good. Okay. So that one looks pretty good. We'll push the packages. Oh, all right. Did I not create the package array? Dang it, we are on a roll too. I did create packages. What the? But why? Primary package is a K package. I did this. Why are you failing? Pray tell. It's not an array of pointers, it's just an array of the actual struct. Did I do something stupid somewhere? What in the VS? Or
what in the hell?
Well, Hank Hill for you. Why can't all of this just be in a few normalized tables in the code? It will be eventually. The reason I like to do it this way is I like to brute force it at first so I can actually step through the logic and make sure that stuff's being loaded correctly. Eventually, I probably will put a lot of this stuff into hash tables instead of... Well, it'll be a hash table that will contain index lookups into that same array. So the hash table will just kind of sit on top of it for quick access. It'll be worth it for the type lookups. We just don't have it yet. We just haven't put it in. But it'll be worth it to keep it contiguous in memory also. So I keep everything in an array and then use the hash table to hash the indexes that are the index into that array. Let's see. It's because I'm passing the entire file size plus 2. Hex dump in that file. If the file was corrupted, VS Code would not be able to open it, right? Yeah, well, it's a text file, so it probably would be able to open it. I don't think it was the file. I think it was something that I was doing. And I'm actually wondering how often I've used that, because I'm wondering if maybe I just haven't used that that function before. Okay. So why is this failing? We create this here. Header size, header. Did we do some stupid memory stuff where we clobbered this somehow? We might have. This is the only thing I can think of because our header is completely not there. So what did we do that would have messed with this? I guess we can quickly step over this. So we'll do that. We have state packages. All right, so the memory looks valid there. When we step over this guy, let me get rid of this breakpoint and this breakpoint. Okay, so that's not the issue. It's got to be this create from manifest then. Yep. We're doing something stupid in here. Okay. So let's debug that. Danger Dose, thank you for the follow. Okay, so we pass through the manifest, pass through the primary package. Okay, so what are we doing in here? So we zero out package. Let me go back up a level and see if that is having any effect on it. No. Okay. Okay, so all we're doing here is duplicating a string. I seriously doubt that's the problem. Internal data. Size of kpackage internal. Yeah, okay, so that should be fine. The types here. Asset type lookup array. So we're creating that array there. I don't think that's it either. So we take the address of that, we duplicate a couple of strings, we get the array length here. New lookup, adds. Take this opportunity to stretch for an ad break. It's going to be something stupid, I think. It's raining quite hard outside. Not sure if you guys can hear that over the microphone, but it's coming down pretty good out there. Almost done with ads. Well, we got about 40 seconds left, I guess. Not quite almost done, but. Don't underestimate the power of a bug on string duplicate. I suppose that's true. You thought you heard it, but it turns out it's raining there too. That's funny. It's got to be a dingus. Got to be a dingus. Yeah. We're getting ready to have a dingus-oriented programming moment. I can feel it coming on. Last time you spent almost all the time looking for a bug in it. Yeah, and I think it wasn't even there, if I remember correct. Because literally all it does is a string length, allocating for that plus 1, copying the memory of the length, and then setting the last one to 0. So, I mean, it's it's dead simple. I mean, I can step up a level, right, and see if we've borked it yet. Oh, we have. Wait. Yeah, it's null now. When did that happen? Why not just set a data breakpoint? I suppose I could. Although I don't think... I think if I've executed past this, I don't think it's going to allow me to do that. Like if I have a breakpoint up here that's conditional, like once it's past that, it's not going to do it, right? I think something it's obviously something inside this function that's causing that to happen. But the problem is I don't have this variable at that scope. Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose I could add. Again, though, like when I change scope, I'm not going to have that. So if I do this, right, if I do that, and then I go back to this scope, it's not there. I mean, I suppose I could, take the address of it, right, and do it that way. It just seems kind of... I guess I could do... Well, I've got to rerun this anyway. So let me do that. Okay, so we know it wasn't that. We'll check it after this string duplicate. See, it's fine. That's fine. Okay. So maybe when we do that. Nope. It's that one. It's this. Well, what in the devil is that all about? It's literally an array of... Huh? So this works fine. This clubbers memory. Make that make sense. And all that's doing is working off of this. You know what? I've seen this be a problem before. I'm going to clean and rebuild. Maybe add an explicit cast. I mean, I could, but it shouldn't matter, right? Because ultimately it's just a pointer. So I'm just, allocating that much space, and ultimately what it gives me is a pointer in the end. Let's see, we said it was fine up until here, right? Yeah, that's fine. When we go into DArray creates, I mean, this code hasn't been touched in like a year. So header size should be 20. No, it's 32 because we added a pointer, right? Okay. Array size is length times stride. So we have the size of that is 16. That doesn't seem... Oh, yeah, 8 and 8. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense, actually. Okay. So we do a allocation on that. And that's what nukes it. Is that one allocation. So that leads me to believe that we might have actually had the problem before this. And maybe we didn't report the correct size of an allocation and we went outside the bounds of that somewhere. Maybe this did it. I don't know. This has been tested pretty thoroughly. I don't think it's this. This is suspect, though, because we did change that. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. The file system size. Shouldn't we be... This is what's doing it right there. So when we do this here, let's run this. I think I just created that issue, actually, is what I did. So let me set that to 0. Because that's confusing otherwise. Okay, so out size is 0. So we should be using, let's see, size. Okay, so we have 21147 is the size of the file. So when we go into here, we're getting the file size again, which is kind of unnecessary, I suppose. But we're reading out everything except the last character. Right, we're doing size -1. So this should probably be size -1. Is this not accounting for the null terminator, I wonder? Maybe that's the problem. So out text. What did we say that size was? 21147, 21146 is a null terminator, and we haven't executed this yet. So what is 21145? New line. So I should have the -1 here, but I should also have it here. And this is technically overwriting the same thing. Great, so when we do this, yep, that's what it was. That's what it was. Okay. Do we need... Let's continue, I guess. Okay, assertion failure. We're trying to allocate 4 gigs of memory and it failed. Okay, so why are we doing that? Parse manifest file content. Why is the size so freaking gigantic? Parse manifest file content. What? There are no null terminators in the file. At least 4 gigs should be enough to hold your manifest, right? Yeah, there shouldn't be a null terminator in the file. Yeah, I think I still have that wrong. I think what it should be, we should be doing size +1 here. And then in read all text, we should be doing this. Size. Yeah, we want to read the whole thing. And then we want to terminate the last character. Size is 21147. Okay. File content. So out text. 21145 is N. Yep, that's the new line. Okay, so 21146 is going to be the last character, which right now is rubbish because we haven't actually zeroed out that array. But this is where we terminate that string. Right? Size. No, that needs to be size -1. Wait. I'm getting confused. It should be size, because we're allocating size +1. So when we read, we want to read that size, and then we should also set the character after that. And we selected everything on, yeah, it reported 21148, not 21147. That's because I think I had (21147) because it got reduced by 1 because I got rid of the new line at the end. So I mean, I could put that back, but it's not really gonna. I just got rid of that, is all it was. So it reduced it by 1. Your file system size is modifying the size with a size -1. Your watch is just on the wrong character. It's at 21146, not 7. Right, but when I had it there, let's see. Right, 21146 is that character. Right, and I think the one before that is a new line. Yeah, and the one after it should be a null terminator. Right, because that's technically the +1 that we have at the end, which is what I'm setting. I'm basically setting that again here. The giant number could be 64 set to -1. It kind of looked like that to me, to be honest. Let me just continue this. Okay, did it do it? That fixed it, I guess. Okay, so process references. We should be able to do this again. And that's, oh, it does it on the second iteration. Okay. Let's see, where was that? That was size. Let's see, what would that be? That would be oh, you're saying that that was... Yeah, I think that's exactly what that is. Because if we do U64 -1. Oh, it's probably an I64. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense either. It does look like exactly half of this, though, doesn't it? It is exactly half of that. I don't know. Let's see if we can figure out why we're getting that. File system size. Out size is there. So this path. Oh. It's because the file doesn't exist. Okay, yeah. Alright, so this is actually... This is more dingus-oriented programming. That's what this is. So in kpackage, one thing we didn't do, we just try to open this file. We don't actually verify that the file actually friggin' exists. We should probably do that. Right? So if that doesn't exist, file does not exist. That's the entire issue. We should probably... I should probably look into that file system open, though, and see why it's actually... Like, we shouldn't have gotten to that point. We shouldn't have gotten all the way down here before we hit that point. So we can do path here, return false. Right, but this file system open should have actually failed. which is weird that it didn't get caught here. Because I believe that the file fails to open. Oh, you know what? Doesn't fopen actually... Oh, this is an interesting bug. I think fopen will actually open a folder, won't it? On Linux, I'll bet it does, right? Yep. This is specifically a Linux issue. So, okay, this actually does make sense. So what I was doing was in the asset manifest here. This is a folder path. And on Windows, a folder and a file are something different. But on Linux, and I assume Mac OS, a folder is just a type of file. So you're actually able to fopen this, which is why that didn't fail. But it's open as a folder, so it doesn't have a size, which is probably why it's returning that weird size. So what this should read is we have to put the entire path. Which isn't great, but I'm pretty confident that that's what the error is. So if we bring this back down and run it again, let's get rid of that. And we'll get rid of that. Okay, so we're freeing something that's already freed. So what did we do here? We did something stupid here, I guess. String free. Package manifest destroy. Manifest path. Oh, okay. That is a bug because... let's see, that was in the... That was in kpackage. That is because when we were setting up the manifest, we're actually loading the manifest. Let's see. Parse manifest content. What? Process assets. This isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for... create from manifest. Where is it? Asset manifest. Oh, you know what? This is in the VFS. Is where this bug is. Right here. This is uninitialized memory. So because we're not doing this, path actually exists. So we have to do that, and then we also have to do... Let's see, manifest destroy, package create from manifest, file content, is that? So we have process manifest refs, I think, is another place we have to look in. Because I think we also do that in here. Yep, new manifest. We did that right here as well. All right, so we had uninitialized memory, which is why path was showing up and it shouldn't have been. Okay, so let's run this again. Okay, so we've got some sort of other issue going on here, but we'll figure out what that is in a minute. I want to look at Let's see. I think we can go to engine create. And if we take a look at systems, VFS system state. System state. There we go. We have the testbed package, and then it's internal data and our types array and all of our stuff. Okay, so it looks like that loaded. I'm pretty satisfied with that. The only thing I do question now is why we're getting an error. Uniform by the name Cascade Splits already exists on PBR shader PBR material. So we didn't actually mess with that yet. Failed to add a uniform. PBR material. Did I somehow like accidentally duplicate a line in here? No. This is shader PBR material. That's kind of bizarre. Have we done something that breaks our loading of this? Seems that we might have, somehow. Looks like our renderer stood up and everything else stood up correctly. It's just, I don't think it's a coincidence that it's a text file that's messed up. Okay, so let's actually take this. And we'll stick a breakpoint here. Okay, so uniform name. Oh, you know what? I wonder if we actually have a collision going on here. I'm not sure why we'd have one now and we didn't before, but... So location. Location is 0. Is that valid? No. Because we definitely have other uniforms in that location and other locations before it. So why did we get a 0 there? We must have had a hash table collision. Well, that's fun. Okay, well, the good news is our virtual file system is up and running, at least in part, right? We're not actually referencing it yet, but we have our packages loaded. We have, they're created from our manifests. We have our VFS stood up, so we can start requesting those things. The only other thing that we need to figure out now is I'll have to figure this out as to why that's happening. But as far as everything else goes, it looks like we're in good shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit this, what we have, and then whenever I figure out what the bug is, I'll push that up. Let me catch up on some comments. I don't feel like I've done that in a while, so let's see. Oh, we have ads. I'll catch up on comments after ads. Yeah, it was U64 minus 1 divided by 2 for some reason. I'm not sure why it gave me that, but yeah, that is definitely what it was. So we got about a minute left on ads. Should probably not add the file extension and add it when you determine you want to open a binary blob or a text file. I mean, yes, but also the way that we load those in the path is going to be completely different versus, if we load it from a manifest versus a binary file. The load process of both of those things is going to vary greatly. So I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. Nice Vim setup. I appreciate that. All right. So yeah, like I said, I think this is probably where I'm going to leave it for tonight. There's a question over here. Will you consider integrating the engine with other languages like Rust or Zig since you have a plugin system? So I can't speak for Rust, but in terms of Zig already supports compiling against C libraries. So you just kind of get that out of the box with Zig. So theoretically, what you could do is you could use this engine, which is compiled in C, but you could compile it essentially with the Zig compiler and then write your game code in Zig if you wanted to do that. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. Unless the Zig compiler's got some weird bug in it that doesn't allow this to compile for some reason, but I don't know what that would be. Yeah, I did do it again. I mean, Mr. Mustard, I did it. I said VS a couple of times, and I shouldn't have, so. Take that, monetization. All right, so let's have a look and see who we can. Oh, Spiro, you caught that one, huh? Let's see who we can raid. Want to look for something that is relatively related to what we're doing, if possible. Let's see. Let me narrow my search a little bit. Let's do this one. Okay. There's a lot of Pirate Software game jams going on. Wow, somebody's working on Pigeon. I haven't heard that name in years. Somebody's installing Arch Linux live. That's gutsy. Not seeing anything that really stands out to me tonight, actually. Trying to pick something that I think kind of relates to what we're doing. It's like a C or C++ stream, but I'm not really seeing too much of that stuff tonight for some reason. All right, plan B. We're going to raid somebody that I haven't raided in quite a while. Let me get it pulled up here. We are going to raid Alveus Sanctuary. I haven't raided this channel in quite a while, but they are a non-profit animal rescue. They have all sorts of exotic animals and stuff. So just the viewership there helps them pay the bills to support that. I think it's a really good cause. And every once in a while I like to raid just to support that cause. So we're going to do that tonight. It's kind of a nice, neat thing to watch anyways. got the night vision on, and you can see some different animals there. So we're going to do that, and I'll drop a link over on the YouTube side for you guys as well once we do that. And yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one. So see ya.